recycled Michael King. I feel like
Yes.
it's recycled. I really do feel like I've been recycled. So how are
Yes.
you?
I'm doing great. It's been an interesting year. It's been a fun year.
Well, it's
And
November. It was
since
November last summer.
yes, it's November. And it's funny, I feel I always have to give pause and like, give respect to people who've had a tough time financially or lost loved ones. And just give airtime to that because it is so true. But at the same time, this time has been so rich and such a blessing for me. It has been such a great time of learning and experience for me and for others too.
I mean, there's been definitely highs and lows. We're still in lockdown. We can't open yet. So we were supposed to, there was rumors that we were going to start this week, but they put it back now until June, where we can take
Yes.
lines. So that's the same as November, last time we spoke.
Same actually.
I know.
Yes.
But the other thing is that, no, what you were saying about choosing to teach Pilates.
Yes.
Reminds me when Pilates first took off and we were working with all these large fitness clubs and they would send their instructors to learn Pilates, and really they didn't want to be there. It was like the last place I wanted to be. And
Yes.
that flashed into me. And I love teaching people that want to be taught, that are passionate, but
Yes.
clients and teachers, and that's what I hope Roxy gets upgraded. I can't believe she's not upgraded, because she's the person that taught me really about don't teach people you don't want to teach. Life's too short.
Right. Yes.
But no, there's definitely highs and lows. I've had some amazing classes, amazing events from Germany, for Korea and China. Not even leaving home.
Yes.
That's been interesting. Sometimes it was a bit bizarre where it was more webinar based, so you didn't see people. I was like,
Yes. And that is weird. You're talking to outer space, it feels like. You're just,
treat yourself like a crazy person. That's what it's
yes.
like. And everyone was like leaving messages like, why don't we just see each other? I mean, at least we could, like this is seeing each other. But
Yes.
there's definitely been some good times. But yes, you're right. There's a lot of studios closed. A lot of people have been selling apparatus, which is really sad. Some people have gone back into nursing, into other professions, as you said, that people do choose to teach. But sometimes if it's not financially viable, then they will go back into doing something else. And I think that's a big blow on the profession of Pilates, is if we lost these people,
Yes.
they couldn't pull through. But yeah, I mean, everyone's got a different story, but positive attitude is essential.
Yes.
Read some of the forums, I'm thinking, whoa.
Mhm. Yes. And I feel like where I'm at in my kind of life stage of my Pilates work, I'm trying to get to where you are, where like I was listening to our last conversation where like I was just in Turkey and we've been to the middle of Siberia and we just came back from Korea. Like for me, it's cool to do that, virtually, but I want to go there. I want to see and feel and just see how different it is. Like we were talking about celebrating the differences. I want to go and be able to celebrate and just really just taste how different
We took it
every experience is.
took travel for granted so easily, just to get on a plane, and especially with us teaching, we would be somewhere different every weekend, and it was just taken for granted. I mean,
Yes.
and we've missed that. In fact, just this morning, I always walk in the morning down to the beach and have a good walk and then come back. It kind of sets me up for the day. And we're talking about Palm Springs. We used to love going to Palm Springs. And we go maybe twice a year, 3 times a year. And I love the desert. I just think it's great. I know a lot of people don't. And I love dinners, which of course Palm Springs is famous for. But just that, of not being able to to do that. I mean, the last place was New York. I mean, it was last February before everything went crazy. That was the last visiting. We took a group of teachers over to Relates on 8th Avenue and did an event there for the weekend. And that was the last place traveling.
Yes.
Crazy.
Crazy. Roxy can't make it. Locked out of the account. Gonna take too long to update. Sorry.
Leave it.
That's fine. Because like Roxy was on right just as she had her child, and then she really took some time. She's now writing, but she took some time to kind of just take a break from all the social media stuff. I want to reel her back in and have her on again. So when she comes as my guest, I'll reach out to you so you can be the cameo appearance. And we'll do it like that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you asked me you text me, said, what would be my message to people?
Yes. Has it changed since November?
No, it has, but UK has started opening up, and it made me laugh when people were coming on to me and say, oh, I can't believe my clients don't want to come back. I'm like, hang on, maybe you've got to consider the clients. You know, if clients don't want to come to the studio, you've got to respect that. So there's a lot of blended teaching going on. There's a lot of people trying, I use the word trying people here with a group of people online and try and make that work, which I think is I think it's good if we try things that we thought were impossible. And maybe sometimes they don't. But if those few people, and friends of mine that have tried it, said, you know, the people on the screen sometimes got a little annoyed because they weren't getting the same attention as people in the room. So I think the whole skill set that you have to learn to do both. But listen, when you get up in the morning, you've got something to go back to bed. Although I do think the working day has got longer with online.
Right.
I think it's absolutely expanded. And I think if you can get those blended sessions, you know, working. I've had teachers standing outside doors of studios shouting at clients inside because they couldn't obviously be in there with them. Just to, you know, you do creative systems that before we would have just laughed at, but now people are doing them.
They're doing them, right.
Consider the client is all I will say. You know, yes, consider yourself, of course, but consider the client and respect. If the client really doesn't feel comfortable coming back in for whatever reason, it could be completely, you know, whatever your opinion about that is, just respect it and try to accommodate what the client's looking for. I do think some of the clients have got very used to the convenience of online.
Yes, absolutely. There's a stat that said here in Toronto that the age category that's most hesitant to go return to work in the office is the 26 to 35 age group. And you were talking about yesterday, and they're not like afraid of COVID. They're just lazy. It's just easier to just be home. Like, I mean, then you can do other stuff at the same time.
Well, I said yesterday to somebody, I said, you know, I've got this great fear that when we get back to live classes, I'm going to meet people who I've seen online, and they're going to go, oh my God, you look so much better online than you do.
Yes.
That's what I for live classes. But no, I think I'm desperate to get back. I'm desperate to use my hands to correct. Yes. But I think you just have to respect and be open-minded about, listen, what we've gone through, we've learned. You know, all the bedroom ceilings at the beginning we saw and all that craziness. You know, now we've got to a state of actually being quite good at even running the courses. Some of my courses where I was so nervous about doing have become learning about the rooms in Zoom and putting people together to talk in the breakout rooms. You know, it's kind of work. We've been running some reformer courses. I've got a bridging course coming up in June, a little plug there, where people are already trained in reformer to come and learn how we do it. And we use 3 cameras. So we've got a camera, the reformer, a camera from above, and a camera from the side. And
amazing.
Cameras, you can switch, like you were in the room, you could look and see what's going on. And listen, I never thought about those things at the beginning. I just thought a camera. So I think it's been good for that we've got this new skill set. But I think now the normal, as I'm calling it, will probably be a mixture of online for a long time and clients coming into the studio.
Absolutely. It's funny, Michael, because this is a conversation I had with a colleague of mine who's a DJ, a really well-known DJ, and the conversation that they're having is a tougher conversation than us because that whole nightlife genre is dead right now. Like they have been absolutely closed, like no hybrids, nothing for this time. So then they're having the same conversation of like, will you have 20% people in the room and then live stream like you're doing now? So it's not just the Pilates world that's figuring out how do we make this massive pivot when we were so dependent on that in-person experience. And like Joel's saying there, the 3 camera, that's a great idea. That's a really
it isn't. I've been listening to it. I joined Clubhouse, but did nothing to it with it. And then I just listened one day, and there was something, a big meeting, 500 people going, and it was about the food industry. And it was how people were sharing how they survived within the food industry. Okay. And stories were the same as we talk about. You know, It was a different thing, but they were all emotionally going through. Some had closed, some had transitioned to just doing takeaway or, you know, home delivery service. Some had completely changed the food they were working on because of the of it. And I felt slightly guilty listening to it. But then I was really amazed that there were this other industry, because we get so involved in our Pilates profession, and it is
myopic.
But there is a world outside and that's going on, and probably going through the same many stories that we could share with each other as well about close since November.
Right. I've met a few people through these conversations who said, like, I don't want to go back to live. Like, I really like online. I like how easy it is. I like the fact I could roll out of bed and teach. And I like the fact that I can be a million places in the world at the same time. Like, and that's better. And it's almost like this was the ticket to legitimacy for that revenue stream.
You know, I've been living in lockdown for a long time before we had lockdown start. You know, my life was lockdown, but I think it's your personality and also the practicality as well. You know, it's 3 cameras, it's still not the same as live. And seeing somebody move, you know, even though you creatively say, I've been getting my classes to turn with their backs to me, to the camera, so I can see from the back and also from the side. I tried different things myself, but it's still not the same as walking around the room and walking in with your hands as such to correct.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and Joel's saying the same thing there. I've done some amazing workshops, but missed the live workshops.
Yes, exactly. But but are you? Everything's open in New York. Your studios are open.
I'm in Toronto.
Are you in Toronto? Sorry, I was thinking in New York.
Yeah. So it's like a mini New York, I guess. So we're the province is on lockdown. Like the province is on a stay-at-home order right now. And with that at-home order, because my studio is in High Octane, which is a training and therapy clinic, I'm open because there's essential services here. So I'm basically, you know, the door's locked. We have people coming in by appointment, and I'm taking some referrals. But other than that, I'm online.
Right.
Yeah. So this is, I was joking that day, like I haven't had my grand opening yet because I basically just opened the studio in July and never really opened it. Right. So.
Well, we were the same. We opened last February for 2 days or March, and then we were locked down. We reopened in July, but then, you know, here in Greece, there were no numbers until after the summer last year, and the numbers have just been going up since then. So, but here in August, being Greece, all the Greeks are away for the month, so there was no clients at all. So, not our official opening. In fact, it's really funny. Our equipment suppliers are coming in to swap out the equipment tomorrow, which is great. And I'm thinking, we've not even used it. Apart from
I know.
They said, oh, we'll give you a new set of equipment so you can try and see how it feels. I'm like, well, we've not really used the last set, but.
Nice. What brand is that?
Say yes, that's what my rule.
Absolutely. Sorry, what brand is it?
It's a local brand. It's a company called Alpha Pilates, and they're here in Greece. Okay.
Yes.
And for me, I mean, I come from that generation. I think we said last time we made our own equipment back in the days before Kenny started Balanced Body from Corona Concepts. We had to make in Europe. We had to make our own equipment. So, to me, people ask me regularly, "What's your favorite piece of equipment?" And
right.
I love it when people say, "Oh, you have to be on Gratz or you have to be on Balanced Body." I said, "No, you don't. You can." Those are cool. You know, yes, if Balanced Body turned around and said, "Please take this," I would take it in a second because they're beautiful. And if Gratz said, you know, but for us, it's about cost. It's if you're planning your budget and you're putting out your money to spend on the studio. I've never had a client turn around ever in all the time I've been teaching and say, "Oh my God, I can't stay here. You don't have Start or Balanced Body." Clients don't care. What clients care about is themselves and the body. And
yes,
tools. And with Alpha Pilates, as I say, local company, the price is great and they're here. So we don't have to pay shipping or anything like that. So it makes sense.
Yes.
And it's absolutely fine. But a good Pilates teacher should be able to teach on any equipment. So again,
yes,
slightly scream inside when I hear someone say, I can only teach on the start.
yes,
A Pilates teacher could teach on anything. You could teach on a cardboard box in the corner if you needed to.
yes.
But
Yeah.
my piece stops.
So funny.
No, or Gratz, or that's your preference. That's not, you can't. I mean, if you've got a job now at your studio and I'm coming from Gratz or Stott, I wouldn't walk into your studio as a potential teacher and say to you, no, I'm sorry, I can't work for you because you don't have Stott. No, that's silly. I mean, they're all great. I mean, that's what teachers don't understand is all the apparatus out there now is such a good quality.
Yes.
You know, you have to learn the differences. And ultimately, for me, if I'm going to open a studio, I have to look at the cost. You know,
That's wise. I mean, and Emmett made a comment earlier, said now it is more about the what works for the teacher than the client, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's your tool. I mean, that's what it is. It's
your tool. Right.
But I mean, if you're going to spend the next 60 years paying off for that tool, you know, because
someone said this brand's better, then it's like,
you know, and I would learn to use a different tool, you know. But yeah, no, that's absolute preference as a teacher. But don't make it about the client. You know, I've been to studios where they've had no training and they've bought the most expensive pieces of equipment because they thought that would make them a good teacher. And I'd say, no, it's a great tool, but it's your knowledge and your understanding. That's great teacher. And I mean, we've been doing our Friday night talks. We call it the Friday night supper club. On from Chinese, osteopaths and chiropractors and you name it. And everyone says the same thing. We have to keep moving.
Yes.
But all of them have their own way of moving. And we had an amazing woman last week, Maggie Burrows with Feldenkrais. Now, Feldenkrais to me is gorgeous as a method. And I think that when we talk about highs and lows of the pandemic, we've been experiencing, and we've had time to experience, different methods outside of our Pilates to appreciate, not that you have to learn to be a Feldenkrais teacher, but just understanding the journey that those methods have, which are equally as amazing as the journey of Pilates.
Yes.
I think that's what the world out there is stunning with what people are doing with movement outside.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But stunning method.
It's fascinating you say that, you know, because it wasn't until I had a conversation with my wife a while back, because like we do get so tunnel vision with Pilates and who we learn from, and it has to be this way and it's got to be this way. It's refreshing to hear you talk like that about like just, you know, the equipment and them being tools. Like a poor craftsman blames his tools, right? Like you should be able to use whatever tools are in your toolbox. My first reformer that I had here was one I bought secondhand. It was a balanced body piece. And not only was it a balanced body piece, it was a knockoff balanced body piece that was made in like Australia. So like, I don't even know what the lineage of this piece was. I used it for years and that's what paid for the used equipment behind me, the Gratz equipment. But my wife was saying, like, you can't despise that old piece. Like, don't feel so good about yourself. Like, look, you have Gratz equipment now, because that old piece paid the way for this new piece.
Absolutely.
She kind of just put me in my place with that a little bit, because I was like, oh, I finally have Gratz. Because, I mean, but actually, Michael, to be real, though, like, I mean, there's a lot of people that still has so much clout. Like, there's people that they look at that and say, I have Gratz equipment, and say, okay, well, he's a classical teacher. Okay, well, he knows what he's talking about. Like, that mindset is there.
That's what people think by investing in that, you know. And it's stunning to me that people will put so much money into buying that stunning equipment, but then they don't value training, you know, and education. They always want the cheapest education, the cheapest out there, and they complain about the price.
Ouch.
on their tools, they'll go spend it, you know. And that's what I think you have to have a bit of a reality check sometimes about your knowledge creates your method of what you teach. And your experiences, whether it be stepping outside and trying a Feldenkrais class or a Martha Graham class or, you know, something that's different, that experience. And all those experiences come then when you look at your client and you really look at them, you don't look above them, you look at them, and you understand, you know, that client's having an experience with the movement they're doing. And there was a big, I wasn't going to mention it, but I will. We've created our own PMA over in Europe, in the UK. It's called the Society for the Pilates Method. We launched it about a month ago, training all the schools that come together, and the schools that offer full comprehensive training. And we were talking about the embodiment, because for years we've been looking at teaching people to teach Pilates, but we've not really been looking how they do Pilates themselves.
Okay.
Whole discussion on embodiment. What is embodiment? Which in English I would say, keep it simple. It's, you know, learn the method. Get it into your body. And how do you do that? Because you doing it on your own is not the same as, you know, going to a teacher. But then if you can't get to a teacher, then how do you get it into your own body? Because you could get it in the wrong way into your own body. That's equally as important as the machines or the apparatus you buy is actually your understanding of the method. But it is so unbalanced sometimes, because when I see people spending stellar amounts of cash on apparatus, but then they haven't got the method in their body, I do have. Now, I'm a polite person, I smile a lot, but I do in some way a lot. I wonder what experience their client's going to have. You know, stellar piece of equipment or apparatus if they haven't actually got it in their body at all. So I think, but then I was listening to another forum, and there was this whole academic approach to embodiment. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is just way my pay grade. You know, it is your nervous system and all that stuff. Yes, I know that, but it's really your own practice that maketh the man or woman, not just the reformer. I think that's where we have to keep coming.
It's, you know, it's like I played American football. I'm saying that because you're in Europe right now, but in growing up, and there was always the kid who had the newest shoes and the knee pads and the elbow pads and the shiny jersey and the visor and every single accessory possible, and they weren't very good. And then there's the other kid who was just a hard worker and just didn't have no frills and just was super talented. And it's almost like that's what we can do. We can throw money at stuff, but that doesn't make us good. They're just frills. They're just decoration. So how do we invest in our actual talent? How do we invest in our core elements of just teaching as opposed to on the frills and the things, right? So it's
and it's, you know, then it's real measurable changes. You know, you can't say I have to do 3 hours of Pilates every day. If you've got a family and you've got online teaching and you've got all of that, you have to find moments, you know, to do it. But, you know, we can look and wonder and talk about this, but at the end of the day, it's about your own practice. But as I say, it's not about, some of my yoga friends go off to India, or did go off to India before pandemic, and like doing 3 months of yoga. It's not that, really. It's the reminder sometimes of what your body feels like on a reformer or on the mat, on the Cadillac. It's that sensation.
Absolutely. There's a comment that you made in the last chat, which I wanted to circle back to. And it was when we're talking about diversity. And you've touched on this a little bit more before. And now I'm not talking just within the lens of skin tone and race. We touched on diversity in terms of diversity of the way that we learn. Diversity in the risks that we take in our business. Like I always say, I think I use the analogy of an entrepreneur is one who makes the parachute after they jump out of the plane, you know, whereas someone else researches and kind of takes their time and studies. age diversity, all these different things. And we landed at celebrating the differences instead of highlighting what makes us different. It's like, let's celebrate the uniqueness of those differences. I really love that.
Well, there's a lot of judgment out there. You know, people are judgmental, and I detest it because I think, you know, we all have different opinions, and those opinions are so important. But don't let your opinion, you know, judge other people's journey. You know, if you want to sign up for full comprehensive training that requires 750 hours or whatever, great, go do that. And that's your choice. But then if you don't have that opportunity, either financially or time-based, don't judge a person that can't do the same journey as you.
Yes.
And I think that's the sadness of the lows, I would say, have not just been the studios closing, but it's a lot of people have had a lot of time to judge people online, and it really upsets me. And I think we have to embrace it. I said last time, you are all passionate about everything that we all do. That's what gets out of bed. I'm passionate about what I do. I get out of the bed, I think, this is great. You know, I've chosen Pilates, but you have to also then look outside of your own, I hate to say word paradigm, but your own world, and understand that there's other people doing other things, and that's fine. And it's absolutely, and just
absolutely
don't judge them. Just and people would say to me, in fact, I had a conversation just before this, that people say, oh my God, you've got to stop all these people teaching Pilates when it's not Pilates. I said, well, you can't, really. I mean,
well, that's true. You can't. Yes.
You know, that's always going to go on. All you could be responsible for is yourself. And so if you can kind of ignore all that craziness that's going on and just focus on yourself, but don't dish all that's going on, just say, look, that's going on, that's fine. What I can for is your own self, your way of doing it. And
well, yes, I agree with that. And just hearing you talk, I'm sure for the people in the comment section, their experiences too, you have such a maturity to the way that you approach the work and a passion for the craft itself. That's attractive. That draws people into what you're doing, and they'll want more of that instead. Like, because a lot of times we try and posture by pointing the finger and critiquing others, and we think that if we elevate ourselves by posturing ourselves as the authority by the way we could tear down somebody else. Whereas what you're doing is saying, like, the work is the work. The people in front of us are the people. How do you sharpen your skills? Well, and focus on that, right? Like.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, Amit's having a great little chat with us.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. I'll read his comment just because on the replay the comments don't pop back up. So he's saying it's not necessarily about judgment. It's about setting standards to avoid teacher trainings from nothing being trainers over a weekend or two.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And he did mention there's only 3 training providers. We actually have 6 now. I mean, check out the Facebook page on the society. We've got 6, and everyone's welcome to come join. We don't want to be an exclusive society. Please come join us. No, I think, yeah, you have to set standards. There has to be standards, but it's you set the standards. And, you know, and unfortunately, clients like teachers who you described, you know, who posture themselves. Clients are drawn to people that are very, as we said, we have very directive teachers that click their fingers, teachers that are
very militant, like alpha type. Yes.
When clients love that because they don't have to think. If a client is that type of teacher, they know exactly what they need to do. They don't experience it. That's a style. But then an inclusive style of teaching is, you know, a teacher that involves the clients or the class in the process rather than just talking at them. And I think, you know, we have to realize that both those characters are part of our industry. Clients are attracted to one. Some clients don't like to be told when to breathe in and breathe out. You know, they want to go to more of an organic experience. And that's the tapestry so great. You know, it's not just one thing.
Right.
Then backgrounds. I mean, your background, you know, and whether you're coming from sports or you're coming from dance or whether you're coming from physical therapy, you know, all those things bring in more color for the tapestry, more little pieces.
Yes.
And, you know, all great, but then sometimes people want to put it all into a box and say, you have to be this and
Right.
fit it in a box.
Yes. Just to tidy up the piece about the equipment, I just remembered, I have Trent McIntyre as a podcast guest for this week. And one of the lines that he said, and this is one of my new favorite lines when it comes to this, he said, when you go to the dentist doesn't show you around and say, well, this is my 2000 drill, and this is my state-of-the-art x-ray machine, and this is my chair. He doesn't highlight his equipment and the latest model branded equipment. You're there because you want to find out, can you help my toothache or not?
Exactly. That's all. That's a lot of clients. They don't care what machine you've got. What they care about is how long and how quick, and are you going to be able to handle this from their perspective. So the client journey, we've always said the most important thing is the client, not the movements. The most important thing is the client, not the apparatus. It's the client journey coming in and leaving that we have to consider. And sometimes we want to imprint what we want the client to do with information for the client. So the one thing I've learned over the years is, you'll never make everyone happy. That's 100%. So
that's check. Yes.
Roxy taught me that. Roxy firing half of her clients every year sometimes it just isn't working, and so you have to choose the right clients that you feel you can work with. And we're so desperate, and I'm sure when we open the studio, I'm going to be desperate as well to get all the clients back in. But you have to realize that client experience is important, but sometimes the client's not there for the right reasons, and you'll never make them happy because they're looking for something different. Weight loss, I don't know, tight glutes or something.
Right, exactly.
That's something very elemental that they think that this is going to give them. When the client gets it, the client will be yours for life.
Yes.
100% when they get it. But there's that whole area when the client comes in and it's a new client and they don't know what it is and you don't know who they are, and there's that whole relationship start. And you have to guide that client to see, and that's the skill of the teacher, is to not imprint what you want the client to see, but kind of come over to the client's mind. Forgive me if I repeat things because, as I say, but, if I'm working with runners, I will talk as a runner. I won't talk as a Pilates teacher expecting the runner to come into my world. I will ask questions, about their running training program and the speed, and just find out from their world how I'm going to find my way into it with Pilates. And so is want that runner to learn Pilates so they see the benefits. Without that acknowledgement, that they don't know what this world is. So that's one thing that comes with experience, is that you find your way to connect to the client, whether it be a runner, whether it be a grandmother who's never exercised, or in every scenario, clients with
that's the communication piece, right? And that's where we have to really understand how to connect. And I used to, first of all, my wife teases me because she feels like I'm on a first date every day of the week because we're having these conversations and connecting with people. I love this. That scratches that itch for me. And I would say that, as fitness professionals, that's what we're doing every day. From that first piece of the conversation, what do you do? How many kids do you have? Where do you work? What do you do for work? You're sitting down all day? Okay, so now I'm starting to gather information on where our class is going to go. You sit 10 hours a day? Okay, well, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to incorporate this exercise. This piece of equipment might be better for you, that sort of thing. So when we start to have that conversation, and I keep, coming back to Trent McIntyre here, like he's like my new favorite guru. The way that he said it is that as we're listening to someone having this conversation, not only we're trying to figure out where to take them in the space, but we're also trying to think about someone else who we trained in the past that has had that similar experience.
Totally, absolutely. You're in what we call the gathering mode. Every question I ask a client is to get some more information about who they are. And, we go past to say, do you sit at hours at home? Well, of course everyone does at the moment, with your laptop on your with your laptop on your knee, you know, in your office, you know, where is your computer stand? What kind of chair you're sitting on? I mean, these are general conversations. It's not literally bullets, you know.
Right. But you're fishing for them.
Well, totally. And I tell my, it's going to take me at least 10 sessions to learn your body. I'm not going to know this.
Well said.
So every time you come, it's part of me learning more about how you move and, you know, how this is going to work for you. You know, I have to find that. So yeah, we have a system which we, you know, we say when you're in gathering mode and you're not even planning yet, you have to gather something to plan. But that could be a dynamic movement. It can be something very static. It can be different depending who the client is, whether they, you know, the age of the client, the condition of the client. That's what you do, you gather. But then you translate that into a program that can change. And your clients need to know this is the start of the journey. So you do very short-term goals and long-term, you know. At the beginning, I'm going to introduce you to the breathing. You know, over time, that's going to become a little bit easier. It might feel weird at the beginning because it is a weird system of breathing. So, you know, you just kind of break that relationship down into layers. And teachers want their clients to know everything the first session.
Right. Yes.
You just not going to happen in one session. You layer it as they come in, especially with older clients. Of which, you know, with older clients, you can't throw loads of information and do.
There was a comment earlier, and just circling back to it, where someone said about breathing, and I just wanted to share how I layer that in. Where it's way up there, I can't find it now. But someone's saying, well, what about breathing? Breathing is central to it. I agree. We all agree on that. One of the ways I would do this, Michael, when I've had large groups, and I had the privilege of starting a Pilates class at a community center pre-COVID, and for 2 years straight, I had almost exact same nucleus of 20 people. So there's a sweet spot between getting them to move every week and then introducing some central tenet to Pilates every week at the same time. So maybe, for example, this week, we're going to focus on breathing through all the exercises we've been doing. Or this week, we are going to do one exercise, but we're going to take the whole day to set up for that one exercise. Or, you know what I mean? So I would give them enough movement so they feel like they did something, that it wasn't just a boring lecture for an hour. But at the same time, I would also incorporate different pieces so they would learn the different elements and central things to our Pilates in a fun way, and just introduce the different layers while keeping them moving at the same time. So yes, I agree the breathing is it, but I didn't want to get so fixated on, okay, stop, breathe properly. Okay, stop, now try.
Sometimes people can close down, you know, sometimes it is so, and it's usually posture related. If they're just restricted in the thoracic and you start trying to get them to breathe laterally, they just can't do it and they'll close down. So, you know, I forget, I think it was Kathy Grant. Don't swear to me I'm wrong, but she would always make you sit for 5 minutes first every session and just breathe. And I think Ron Fletcher, when he was doing teaching himself, the first few sessions were just breathing, and then you after that. I think, you know, we want everything in 1 hour now. So when we'd say that, but I think we have the principles that we throw around with Pilates. You know, the 6 principles you can take. Okay, June is going to be breath month. You know, so let's whole month on breath. Everything we're going to play with breath choices. Let's study breathing in, out is going to give you a different experience of the movement. And then we've got the precision month. You know, it's proprioceptive month. Let's test where we are with that. Let's do a little test, or, you know, something. I think you can have fun with your programming.
Absolutely.
I know I should have this on a t-shirt, but Pilates is not just a set of movements. It's so much more. And it's the craft of the teacher is to take, we know where we're going. We know what we want people to do, but the skill is getting people there. And you've got that, or you've got a grandmother, or you've got somebody who's ACL reconstruction or something going on, you know, you have to change instantly what you might have done. So you have to think on the spot, and the confidence comes from working with clients. Clients will teach you more than I can ever teach you. ready for some clients, maybe with some conditions, you need to learn, specific things.
Yes.
One of our guests we had on, Mariska Breland, she's got the Neuro Studio in Washington, and we were talking about what she does with some clients with conditions. And I said, would you call, she was describing it as, would you call that Pilates? And she went, we Pilates, but it's not even resembling what we would say is traditional Pilates.
Right.
The traditional Pilates.
Yes.
And so I said, but that's great, because she's taking people to her studio with, serious conditions and getting them through movement.
Mm-hmm. Can I just, if I could just jump in there and add something for people listening to this who may feel like they're new to this Pilates journey as a teacher and may not have the confidence to really explore that. I think that we need to have a little bit of grace there. And if you have that honest communication with your clients and you're showing your curiosity and you're not pretending to be more than who you are, you can really explore movement with people who have some serious injuries in a safe manner.
Totally.
And if you are in continual conversation with them and continually exploring, and how does this feel? I wonder what this feels like. And you can just ebb and flow with it. That'll be so good for you, and you will learn so much from that client. And don't feel like until you, and this might sound contrary to what we said earlier, don't feel like until you have this course and you're a master's level in this to explore movement with people that you have a trusting, safe, open communication relationship with through your Pilates work. As you start to explore it, you can learn so much and become so proficient in helping people with different conditions.
I think honesty in teaching is what we use now. You have to know when you really don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
And to yourself. I mean, I say regularly, after all these hundreds of years of teaching, I say to clients, love you to be my client, but I need to do a little investigation first about what I need to do with you first. So it's okay to say that. Don't keep yourself thinking that you have to look after every single person coming in your door. There are people that will challenge you, but that challenge is a learning opportunity.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people saying, don't flex with osteoporosis, don't do this. And I'm like, hang on a minute. How do they put the pants on if they can't flex?
Great. Yes.
We have to be real about this. But I think the confidence you will gain as a teacher is when you do safely, try to work with things which are outside your safety zone. Because, but of course you do it cautiously. And yes, the more you know, the better. And have people like Mariska with her Neuro Studio programs and care programs. We have everything out there that can teach you things that I'm still learning about. With some,
absolutely same.
And I think that's great.
Yes.
And we know what we don't know, and it's what we don't know that's more exciting.
Right. Well said.
And just think that's it, but it's not. And that's why I will never get bored of teaching. Because I always see teaching as learning.
Yes.
And I'm talking about teacher training. I'm talking about teaching clients.
Yes.
And the we've had online is really challenged me to learn more. Because you don't presume. I mean, you get teachers that sit just in front of the screen watching the class. You keep demonstrating everything. And I realized, hang on, maybe I'm the teacher that demonstrates everything. So I tried to sit watch. It's you. Of course, you're still not doing it. Like going back to embodiment, when you're demonstrating, that's not embodiment because you're focusing on what you're doing rather than focusing on yourself. Remember that.
Good stuff. Yeah, that is. We are at 55 minutes. That is absolutely flown by.
Amazing.
Just like that is super fast. And I feel like I say that every single day, like, wow, we're at 57 minutes. Wow, we're at 55. But it's true. And Mike, I really appreciate your passion for learning and your passion for teaching. That ignites that in me. And I hope that does for all of you who are watching as well. That we can find joy in teaching, and we don't have to be paralyzed by what we don't know. We could celebrate that and continue to learn more every single day.
100%. 100%.
Yes, thank you so much.
45 minutes was waiting for Roxy, but I'm not going to say that out publicly.
I'll get her on sooner, as soon as I can, and then we'll have you come in and be the cameo appearance, and we'll do it. Joel, thanks for joining. Natalia, thank you. All of your people who are cheering us on. Emmett, as always great conversations with him. Please follow him as well. Quiet Bodies, so good to see you. Helen Hayes, Neil Prasad. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Michael, once again, it's so good to reconnect with you, and looking forward to round 3 at some point.
Listen, take care.
All right. Thank you so much.